Well, good Friday morning, taking a live look outside this morning. This is downtown Denver. The mountains are getting some snow. We may even see some flurries here as well. Thanks for joining us, TGIF. Corey, Jordan, Brianna, and Ed with you this morning.
Good morning, everybody. And it's already so cold out there. I had to pull out the scarf this morning, Ed.
A little chilly this morning. Not going to get much warmer today, about 40 degrees, much as we saw yesterday. But then we start to warm it up. We could be in the mid 60s next week, but we got to get through today first. Let's go outside and take a look at the temperatures that we're seeing. 20 degrees in Denver right now. Single-digit teens, 20s pretty much around the state. A few 30s down there. Cortez, you can see, at 32 degrees. Today we will see mostly cloudy skies, snow showers, a lot like yesterday. 40 degrees for the high. But then for tomorrow, 45 degrees. It's going to be nice for the Parade of Lights with mostly clear skies by 6 o'clock in the evening. 48 on your Sunday, 58 on your Monday, and here come the 60s. 60 on Tuesday, 65 with sunny skies by Wednesday.
Thank you, Ed. And right now we are taking a live look from I-25. If you're heading southbound this morning, come take a look at your screen. This is right at the exit of 58th Avenue, where you can kind of see those flashing lights right here. That's some overnight construction that's happening right now. It looks like some lanes are blocked off. So I do want to switch things over to our main graphics, kind of show you those drive times if you're heading out right now. You can see that mile or 2 mile delay southbound. Those speed times are coming in right around 25 miles per hour. Now, if you're heading out the door and you're taking I-270, so from I-25 into I-70, it's going to be a 6-minute drive. And those speed times coming in at 62 miles per hour. No crashes to report for your Friday morning commute.
Developing overnight, the Israeli military says its fighter jets have begun hitting Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip. Israel accused Hamas of violating the terms of the ceasefire, which included firing rockets toward Israel from Gaza. The attacks began just minutes after that ceasefire expired. In a matter of hours, the Jewish National Fund, USA's Global Conference for Israel, will open back up for day 2 in downtown Denver.
Day 1 was met with protests. 9 News reporter Anusha Roy is live outside the Colorado Convention Center for us this morning. And Anusha, we could see people marching there again today.
Yeah, Corey, according to the Colorado Palestine Coalition, people could be out here in front of the convention center as soon as 9 a.m. today. They are calling for the conference to be shut down. Like you were mentioning, they were out here until about 10 o'clock or so last night for that first night of the conference. What was happening inside in the conference was Governor Jared Polis was speaking to the crowd that showed up for the conference, along with the UN ambassador to Israel as well. We heard from the conference CEO who said before the Hamas attack on October 7th, they would have been focusing more on the group's achievement, but that their tone definitely changed after that attack. They were paying tributes to the victims, talking about the rise in anti-Semitism, and a man from Israel traveled 20 hours to be here in Denver. He said he was really debating if he should come, worried about leaving his kids and his family alone, but said that it was important for people in America to hear directly from him.
I have a lot of friends that are in reserve and in the army. One of my best friends were the first troop that came into the kibbutz named Be'eri when the massacre was horrible there. I still didn't see him, but he told me he has horrible stories and pictures to share, and I'm worried for him, for his mental situation.
And last night, that's what it was looking like outside the convention center. Protesters calling to shut the conference down and free Palestine, banging on the windows at one point. Protest organizers say the nonprofit group behind this conference is supporting ethnic cleansing and genocide. At one point, Denver police did warn that they would use pepper balls unless protesters stopped, and then the crowd did back off at that point. The Palestine Coalition said calls to shut this conference down are not uncommon, that the same thing happened last year in Boston as well. And online, they have these rules of engagement for folks who are showing up for protests, asking people not to engage, saying they have dedicated people to de-escalate situations. If they see that anyone is breaking those rules, they're going to be asked to leave. We also touched base with Denver police, who said they are well aware of the situation here in downtown Denver and that there's going to be enhanced security throughout the duration of the conference in this area. Corey.
Yeah, that was just day 1, so a few more days of the conference as well. Anusha, thank you.
Well, during the brief ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, a Denver group spent time shipping supplies to the Middle East. Project KUSA sends donated medical supplies to those who need it most. Volunteers gathered in a Denver warehouse and organized medical supplies to ship over. Douglas Jackson is the CEO of Project KUSA. He says they weren't able to send any supplies until the ceasefire, so they worked fast to get supplies to Israel and Gaza.
We haven't been able to get into Gaza until now with the ceasefire. We've already done almost $1 million into Israel. And now this load right here, that's going to go through Egypt, and on into Gaza. But think about things like tourniquets and hemostatic bandages and gauze and suture and gloves and the things that you need to take care of wounded people. That's what this load represents.
Jackson says the pallets here in Denver will be leaving Thursday, and a few more will leave from Phoenix and Philadelphia. Now, once those are out, the organization will have sent more than $2 million worth of supplies between Israel and Gaza.
Today marks 6 years since 17-year-old Maggie Long was murdered in her home in Bailey. Maggie was a senior at Platte Canyon High School and was found dead in her home. She had stopped there to bring water and cookies to a school concert that night. Investigators say she was attacked in her home in Bailey before the house was set on fire. They believe at least 3, maybe 4 suspects were involved in her death. This week, the Park County Sheriff's Office announced a $75,000 reward for anyone that shares information that leads to an arrest.
Prosecutors are presenting their case against 2 paramedics indicted in the death of Elijah McClain. Yesterday, a doctor testified that it was the ketamine given by the paramedics that killed McClain. Aurora police stopped and threw McClain to the ground after a 911 caller reported that he seemed sketchy. The struggle triggered a series of medical issues. Multiple experts agree it was a shot of the sedative ketamine that stopped McClain's heart. Paramedics Peter Chikuniak and Jeremy Cooper face charges of reckless manslaughter and multiple counts of assault. During court, a doctor blamed the paramedics and the ketamine for McClain's death.
The primary cause of his death was the effects of this drug, ketamine, which was the major factor that contributed to him stopping breathing. And then after stopping breathing, his heart stopped, which caused low oxygen to his brain and then a brain injury.
Now, the trial is tentatively expected to last until the week after Christmas. Trials earlier this fall led to the conviction of 1 Aurora police officer and the acquittal of 2 officers.
We're learning more about the Cortez police officer killed in the line of duty in southwestern Colorado. Sergeant Michael Moran was killed during a traffic stop on Wednesday morning. Police say Moran pulled over a car southwest of Cortez after a reckless driving complaint to the sheriff's office. That's when investigators say one person inside the car fired at the officer. Moran later died at the hospital. The suspect drove off but was found shortly after. Police said more shots were exchanged between the suspects and officers at the second location. Moran served as a Marine and had been with the Cortez Police Department for more than 10 years. He leaves behind 2 daughters. At this point, we don't know when the funeral will be, but we will update you both here and online.
Am I going to hear something in my lifetime? Because at this point, it feels like I've been doing this a lifetime.
Oh, she has been through it. After 5 months and 278 hours on hold, a woman from Thornton finally received her unemployment benefits. 2 weeks ago, we shared Lisa Craig's story and her lengthy log of phone calls trying to figure out why the state wouldn't pay her. Craig told us she checked her bank account after our story and found a payment of $10,000. That's what the state owed her for 5 months worth of unemployment benefits minus tax. Craig says when she saw the payment, she ran through her house dancing and had the best sleep in months. She exhausted her savings, had to dip into her 401k to pay bills as she searched for another job. For months, 9 News has talked to Coloradans like Craig stuck in limbo because of the state's new approach to weed out fraud. The state's Department of Labor and Employment says it's moving around resources and adding training to call takers to help troubleshoot people stuck on so-called program integrity holds. CDLE now says most people on those fraud holds should be cleared within a week of people reaching out.
After all she's been through, that is some happy news for her. Well, Colorado's only oil refinery keeps spewing pollution into the air, and now an environmental group is taking the EPA to court to stop it. The Center for Biological Diversity is suing the EPA for greenlighting Suncor's air quality permit. The federal lawsuit claims that regulators renewed Suncor's permit to pollute without addressing concerns about transparency. They want the EPA to reconsider. Suncor's faced fines over its pollution. Over the last year, it regularly self-reported releases of cancer-causing chemicals into the hazardous hazardous chemicals into the air and crude oil into the ground.